This is democracy.
All right, let's get to Brandon Johnson, who is a union organizer, a teacher, and now the next mayor of Chicago. Here is Amy Goodman of Democracy Now! Talking about Brandon Johnson's
Democracy Now,
victory in the Chicago race.
democracynow.org. As we go from Wisconsin to Chicago, another closely watched race. Brandon Johnson was elected mayor of Chicago in a major victory for progressives. Johnson, a black teachers union organizer, defeated conservative Democrat Paul Vallas, a champion of charter schools who ran on a law and order platform. Johnson won even though Vallas had outspent him 2-1. Brandon Johnson spoke last night to supporters.
So Chicago, I'll say it this day. Today, we take big steps towards figuring it out here. So I believe since we are taking steps to figure it out here, let's take this bold progressive movement around these United States of America.
So, Juan, that's Brandon Johnson. You're in Chicago. Talk about the significance of this victory.
Yes, Amy. All the polls have been predicting a dead heat. It was a close race, the narrowest margin since Harold Washington won election as Chicago mayor back in 1983. But Brandon Johnson did succeed in rebuilding a progressive coalition to be able to capture the mayoralty. He won in impressive majorities in various groups across the city. In the African-American community, he did far better than the polls were showing. So basically, the undecided African-American voters broke in the last week almost completely for him. He did win a majority of the Latino wards of the city. But at the same time, Paul Vallas did do very well in some other Latino wards in this city, in the areas of Humboldt Park, West Town, Logan Square, Avondale, the historically Puerto Rican neighborhoods of the north side of Chicago. Brandon Johnson racked up in the almost 70% of the vote. But in some of the more middle class Latino neighborhoods of the Southwest Chicago, actually Paul Vallas had the majority of the vote. So Brandon Johnson did win a significant majority among the Latino community, which of course has been the fastest growing. But Vallas did have significant support, obviously, in the white community and in some sections of the Latino community as well. Now comes the difficult part of governance, because Brandon Johnson is going to be facing a police police office.
Didn't the fucking police union say that if Brandon Johnson is elected, that they'll quit? Which is pretty funny because they are the biggest crybabies on the fucking entire planet. But they, of course, probably personally thought it would never happen, much like many people in Chicago with proximity to power thought that a person who is fond of socialism, a person who is like been very critical and spoken out on behalf of unions and striking, they said that they would fucking they thought that it would never happen, and they said that they would quit 800 to 1,000, right? So what's up with that? Are we waiting on the resignations? I would like to know when those resignations are going to come. Fuck do I... Yesterday, unique viewership number was 357,452, by the way. I looked it up. And on an average day, it's around 233,000. 230K. So, my unique viewership as in like my ratings, is still significantly smaller than Seth Meyers, who is, still a TV show. Oh, here it is. I just wanted to get to the bottom of that, so now we know. TV ratings are not unique viewers, man. Seth Meyers' uniques would be in the tens of millions. Wait, no, that's not true. TV ratings are literally done like that. You think 10 million people, you work in TV analytics, you think 10 million people watch Seth Meyers every night? Are you fucking nuts, dude? You work in TV analytics? How the fuck do you think Nielsen TV ratings work? No wonder TV's failing. They got this motherfucker doing analytics. No. Seth Meyers' ratings imply that he's getting 700,000 people, 780,000 people watching him concurrently. Okay? That's what that means. Anyway. This would be cool if this would happen, honestly. Here is the new mayor of Chicago.
Convincing our members to wear a red T-shirt on Friday was a task. It took us a year to convince CTU members that it's okay to associate yourself with labor. The baby socialists would just wear the buttons, right? We got to, start them off, gently. And so eventually they started putting on red T-shirts. And so building that sense of consciousness.
Officers who see him as their worst nightmare. He's going to be facing a business community that is definitely worried about some of his pronounced policy positions, and of course the billionaires who continue to fund the charter school movement are going to be also going to find a difficult situation with the new mayor. So we're going to be a key aspect of this, of course, was the power and the mobilization and the money of major labor unions like the service.
They're going to try to do a business plot on Brandon Johnson. The Illinois Chamber of Commerce has decided that there's a new mayor in Chicago. America is doing a paramilitary coup in Chicago by way of the police department and taking out Brandon Johnson and then putting in the Illinois Chamber of Commerce leader as the new mayor of Chicago. We've decided. Stop giving them ideas. I mean, it's just like service. They won't do that, but they'll fucking undermine him at every step of the way unless he gets like actual support from JB Pritzker. Yes, the business leaders in Chicago will unironically do everything in their fucking power to fuck this entire process up, as they have done time and time again to any fucking DA that's like, hey, maybe the police shouldn't murder 14-year-olds. Like, if you're a DA anywhere in America, and you have said things like, perhaps we should have a little bit more police accountability, it's over for you. Okay? It's fucking Jover. Okay? They will do everything and anything they can to be like, the police unions will unironically do everything in their fucking power to destroy you. On top of that, business leaders will like collaborate with the police unions to say, oh God, these cops are not doing their jobs because of the fucking woke DA. Same shit goes for mayors as well. Same shit goes for anyone in proximity to power that has an opinion that is a little bit outside, maybe a little bit to the left of like the regular neoliberal norms. Think about the prior two mayors of Chicago, and you will understand what I'm talking about. You got Lori Lightfoot, and before that, you had absolute demon Rahm Emanuel. So, we'll see.
SEIU, the Service Employees International Union, the Teachers Union, especially the Chicago Teachers Union. Those were the main bulwarks of the ground organization that Brandon Johnson was able to put together, as well as the financing that.
One reason I'm not as confident in a Brandon win is that this framing of the race, which is just straight up wrong, has been accepted and promoted as true by much of the political media, and this framing inherently helps Velas. Velas is the charter school candidate, not the FOP candidate. Velas would sell CPT to the Saudi Public Investment Fund if he could. But by framing this as a race as Mr. No More Crime versus Mr. No More Cops, Velas largely ducked his charter school ties. The cornerstone of Velas' public safety plan is to have retired cops give up their extremely generous pensions and unretire. It's unserious and openly hints at a plan to ultimately raise the CPT's retirement age. But because he's the white conservative candidate, it sticks. Yeah, that's actually really interesting. I didn't pay that close attention to the Chicago mayoral race, I'll admit. I felt pretty confident in a narrow but clear Brandon win, 3 to 5 points. As recently as a week and a half ago, the runoff was progressing about as I expected, but the flood of right-wing money really salvaged Velas' floundering runoff campaign. Now the vibes feel different. I will say the demographic crosstabs in the final poll feel right, though I think it'll be closer to 58-42 Velas among white voters. Still, that should be enough for Brandon to win. It is telling that the Velas-aligned M3 strategies release public polls seemingly every week in round one when Velas took the lead, but have kept their results private all runoff. Doesn't necessarily mean they have Velas losing, but it's interesting. Single-handedly making Velas sound cooler just by mispronouncing his name. Wait, how do you say his name? Vallis? Vallis? Is that how you say it? I don't fucking know. Vallis wins if a substantial number of undecided black voters breaks his way or stays home, or if there's a surge in white, shy Vallis voters in the north side. One thing I'm relatively confident about is that we'll know the winner tonight. There will be lots of tens of thousands of outstanding mail ballots counted. Vallis is a charter school candidate, not the FOP candidate. We already covered that. The cornerstone of Vallis' public plan. Okay, yeah.
He was able to raise.
Well, of course, we'll continue to follow what happens in Chicago with you right there in the middle of everything, Juan.
Okay, another good victory for the progressive judge. We talked about that last night as well. Tennessee lawmakers facing expulsion talks, and he's expulsion, and he talked to CNN, but we're going to skip that.